Well, welcome again, and welcome to those of you who joined us during the meditation. Happy to be here. I'm Debbie George, one of your Dharma leaders. And tonight, I'm going to tell you a story. Is everybody up for a story? Okay. This is a story with a happy ending. So of course it has to have some challenge and some difficulty, right? So do you notice when your thoughts go to judging and being critical and maybe some mean-spiritedness or some ill will, maybe envious, or on the other hand the greed factor of just selfishness or stinginess or jealousy or so the list goes on, almost infinitely. So don't despair. Don't despair, because it's the untrained mind. So it's the human mind. These in the discourses are called taints, or the defilements are greed, hatred, and delusion. Remember, we've heard about those a lot. So the taints are more kind of specific manifestations of greed, hatred, and delusions, which are just tendencies in the untrained mind that really create a lot of suffering for us. So these are true in monastics and lay people alike. We're all contending with this. So the upshot of these bad habits are that once they're seen, and with training and mindfulness, we begin to see, we can change, we can abandon these habits, mental habits. So it's wisdom that is doing the work. So we wise up by seeing that when we have critical thoughts or judgments, or comparing ourselves, or when we have these negative thoughts, we can feel the stress in us. We can feel the suffering. And just think about like the emotion or the thought of regret. Think about sitting with regret. That's a toughie. So we start to go, that's really, really difficult to be with, And over time with mindfulness, we start to wise up. So it's not about seeing these things arise in us and hating on ourselves, right? Kind of like Denise talked about last week. It's not like thou shalt not. It's really an experiential practice. When I do this, how does this arise? What arises in me? What does this feel like in me? So, and how do people respond to me? Denise talked about, do you feel safe with certain people? So it's a gradual process. It's a gradual abandoning. So I want to talk about, pretty soon I'm going to talk about the story. I know I told you I was going to tell you a story. Now I'm telling you all kinds of Dharma stuff. We're getting there. So I recently read this amazing book. It's Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents, Isabel Wilkerson. Absolutely amazing book. It's arguably a book that every single American needs to read. This is the Chicago Tribune. It should be at the top of every American's reading list. And I agree. So Isabel, she compares caste in India and in Nazi Germany and in America, in racist policies and racism in America. And she looks at all three of those. So it was amazing to look through so many different lenses. And I thought, well, what is the Buddha? The Buddha was a radical about caste. He was born in a noble caste, but he threw open his teachings and his invitation to absolutely everyone, including women, which was radical as well. So so what I did, I thought, what does the Buddha say about it? So in the Majjhima Nikaya, this wonderful volume, Majjhima means middle length. So these are the middle length discourses. At the back of the book are several indexes. There's an index for similes, there's so many similes, proper names, subjects, and then there's a glossary. Anyway, I went to the index of subjects and looked up caste. And there are several discourses, and the first one is the one that grabbed me, I stayed with. So it's only 3 pages, and you're going to be hearing from the horse's mouth. You'll be hearing quite a bit of it. So we'll get there. Also in this book, there's 152 suttas, and each one has just a couple of lines that are the summary of it. And I'm going to share that with you soon too. So what happens in this story is that the Buddha is addressing this group of monks, and they're bhikkhus, which is another word for recluses, and basically people following his path. So that includes lay people and monastics. So that would be us too. So he uses the word recluses a lot. So just remember, that's just somebody following his path. And he says, you all appear to be, and let me also just say that the caste part comes at the end of the story. So just wait on that, okay? Basically, he said, everybody can go through this process, no matter what background they have. But he says to this group of monks, you all appear to be on this path, to be following. You have the robes, and you've accepted the relationship with the communities, that the community provides clothing, shelter, food, and medicines. And the monks in turn provide teachings and support of the community. They're involved with supporting them with death and birth, and really like counseling. So that's the relationship. So he says, you look like you deserve to be supported, but if in you have these negative, these taints, and traditionally there are 12. Some of the discourses have more than that, but they need to be abandoned, so that you actually are what you appear to be. And then he goes on and describes, and then he says, I'm going to teach you the proper way, and I'm going to share that with you. But then he goes on, and it's really interesting to describe the different spiritual communities of the time, and how they too might appear to be, on that particular spiritual path. But if they're not purified inside, then they're really, really fakes. Okay. So it's really interesting, the descriptions of some of the types of characters, and I'm going to share that. But basically it comes down to, we're not hating on ourselves for being hateful or being greedy or being delusional, like just not really seeing clearly. We want to simply purify our hearts, which we do with our metta practice, our loving kindness, our Brahma Vihara practice, as well as our mindfulness practice. Just basically waking up to what is happening. We can then make a choice on not acting in the negative, the unwholesome, unskillful ways of being and thinking. And then we suffer less and everyone around us suffers less. So, let me see. I made all these notes, but I really just want to open up the Nikaya and share that with you. So we're going to bounce. I'm not going to read you every word, even though it's only 3 pages. But I will. I'll pause in between to talk about it. So the Blessed One said this: recluses, bhikkhus, that is how people perceive you. And when you are asked, what are you? You claim that you're recluses. Since that is what you're designated and what you claim to be, you should train thus. We will practice the way proper to the recluse, so that our designations may be true and our claims genuine, and so that the services of those whose robes, food, resting place, and medicinal requisites we use shall bring them great fruit and benefit, so that we will give what we're, we will really meet our end of the contract, kind of thing. So how does a bhikkhu not practice the way proper to the recluse? For so long, a bhikkhu who is covetous has not abandoned covetousness. So I listed these 12 taints, and then I went to the Roget's thesaurus to look at the synonyms. And what was interesting is, because a lot of these are kind of the old words, like avarice and those things. So in every description of each one of these taints has the word hatred or greed or something like that, So covetous, greedy, gluttonous, ill will. If we haven't abandoned ill will, hatred, abhorrence, contempt, hostility, anger. If we haven't abandoned anger, being mad, often extremely mad, bitter, fiery. If we haven't abandoned resentment, being resentful. Again, that's hate, anger, hurt, bitterness, contemptuousness. If we haven't abandoned contempt. So cold-shouldered, condescending, disdainful, hatred, malice, scorn. If we haven't abandoned insolence, if we're insolent, disrespectful, arrogant, disdainful, insulting, rude, envy, jealous, resentful, grudging, spiteful, lusting, avarice, gluttonous, hoarding, selfishness, close-fistedness, greediness, fraud, deceptive, false, crafty, deceitful, dishonest. Aren't these kind of creepy, huh? But it is what it is. Deceit, dishonest, insecure, cunning, false, rascal, roguish, crocodile tears, cheat, and evil wishes. If we haven't abandoned evil wishes. So badness, infamy, debauchery, hatred, corruption, injury, and finally wrong view. If we haven't abandoned wrong view, not seeing that our actions beget results, that not seeing the law of karma, not aware that we reap what we sow, not knowing that greed and hatred deliver suffering for oneself and others. So he goes through that list with the bhikkhus, and then here comes the description of, other groups of spiritual sects. He says, bhikkhus, if through the, wait a minute, let me back up. He says, He says, because of one's failure to abandon these stains, these faults for the recluse, these dregs, which are the results are to be experienced in an unhappy destination. So immediately, really, karma, we experience unhappiness. Okay, we start to see that. So he says, bhikkhus, if through the mere wearing of the patchwork cloak, a patchwork cloak wearer who was covetous abandoned covetousness, who had a mind of ill will abandoned ill will, who had wrong view, etc., etc. He goes through, or a naked ascetic through mere nakedness. If they haven't abandoned the taints, their asceticism and nakedness is not going to get them where they want to be. Nor one caked with dust and dirt. So their status will not, ascend being caked with dust and dirt. Nor a ritualistic bather through mere ritualistic bathing, nor a tree root dweller through mere dwelling at the root of a tree, nor an open air dweller through merely dwelling in the open air, nor in a practitioner of continuous standing through mere continuous standing, nor a taker of food at stated intervals through mere taking of food at stated intervals, nor a reciter of incantations through mere recitation of incantations. Nor do I say that the recluse's status comes about in a matted hair ascetic through mere wearing of the hair matted. And so we can look at, like, nowadays, people that, show up like at church on Sunday dressed, and appearing to be good people, and what happens by maybe Wednesday, that the appearance isn't we really need to purify, is what he's saying. So again, through wisdom, through seeing the unwholesome states that these behaviors, these mind states arise in us, we begin to wise up. He says, so he sees, and then when this happens, I say, because of his abandoning these stains for the recluse, these faults, these dregs for the recluse, which are grounds for rebirth in a state of deprivation and whose results are to be experienced in an unhappy destination, he sees himself purified. When he sees this, gladness is born in her. I'm going to say her. When she sees this, she's glad. Rapture is born in her. In one who is rapturous, the body becomes tranquil. One whose body is tranquil feels pleasure. In one who feels pleasure, the mind becomes concentrated. The next sentence, she abides pervading 1/4 with a mind imbued with loving kindness. Likewise, the second, the third, the fourth, and below, around, and everywhere, to all as to herself, she abides pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and ill will, without ill will. And then he goes on to, she abides in compassion, in altruistic joy, in equanimity. So he says, suppose there were a pond with clear, agreeable, cool water, transparent with smooth banks, delightful. If one, scorched and exhausted by hot weather, weary, parched, and thirsty, came from the east or from the west or from the north or from the south or from where you will, having come upon the pond, one would quench one's thirst and one's hot weather fever. So too, bhikkhus, and here's the caste part. If anyone from a clan of nobles goes forth from the home into this path, after encountering this teaching, develops loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity, and thereby gains internal peace, then because of that internal peace, one practices the way proper to the recluse. I say, if anyone from a clan of Brahmins goes forth, merchants, workers, if anyone from any clan goes forth from the home life into this path, after encountering the teachings, develops the Brahma Viharas, and thereby gains internal peace, then because of that internal peace, one practices the proper way to the recluse, I say. So I find personally that more and more, I catch the mind and the heart in the negative thoughts. I'm not saying I catch it all the time, and I'm not saying I don't act on it sometimes, the negative. But when I do, I'm usually inspired by feeling the suffering in me and realizing my next thought is, life is hard. It's hard. There's so many challenges and they keep changing. And it's if I have so many blessings in my life. It's hard for me. It's hard for many people with far more challenges. So, that's very motivating, and that just keeps me over the years, I most definitely, and I think this is pretty much what I hear from people who've been practicing for much, much longer than I have, that, it makes us kinder. This path makes us kinder, and it purifies us. So we don't beat ourselves up. We take it kind of moment to moment through practicing mindfulness and loving kindness in the Brahma Viharas. So I'm going to share with you a few words from one of my favorite women, Ayakema, a German monastic. She says, the temptations that sit in our hearts are our defilements, underlying tendencies creating havoc again and again. Because we don't like to admit that there's something within us that needs purifying, we justify it in any way we can. And then she says, the only way we can find peace in our own hearts, find the pathway that leads to liberation, is to change ourselves, not by changing the world. There's nothing to change out there. Everybody has to change him or herself. The Buddha did not deliberately change people. He told them how to do it for themselves. It's strictly a do-it-yourself job. Nobody can do it for you. And the sooner one starts, the sooner one has a chance of finding happiness, totally independent of what goes on externally. So may we all be so kind to ourselves, and may this inspire us to support and share this kindness with everyone we meet. And may we, over time, find that we have more happiness, more ease. Thank you for listening, everyone. So we have time for the chat time. So if anybody has, oh, there's a hand raised. Babita knows how to do that kind of thing. All right. I guess what I do is ask to unmute. Babita?
Yes, thank you, Deb.
Oh, good. Okay.
Thank
Hi.
you so much.
Hi there.
Um, First of all, thank you for the very nice talk. And my mind did wander away, but I hopefully got what you said. And the question I had was, I understand that any person, irrespective whether it's a recluse or a community person like us, if we work on purifying our mind, then we will find the peace and happiness. And you mentioned that as we do this practice more, we will become more kinder. My question does come to, how can I increase my wisdom? Because sometimes, like it's very easy when you're doing like, you don't want to steal from someone. That's easy because that's wrong. But
Right.
both the things are right. Two right things in front of you, and which is more appropriate becomes a little confusing.
Mhm.
And that's this practice. How can I work with my mind so that I can improve my wisdom?
That's a good question. So mindfulness supports our discernment. So all the time we're discerning what is wholesome, really, what is okay, and what is harmful or what is unwholesome. And so mindfulness helps us, first of all, see more clearly what the mind is doing and the heart is doing, what state we're in. And then it's what do you call it? Trial and error. We do something and we go, oh, that didn't feel kind, or that didn't, that felt, that was sharp, what I said, or that was kind of reactive, and I would have liked to be softer or more kind. So then we learn from that, and we sit in meditation consistently daily, hopefully, for the most part, and we get to be with what it feels like when we miss our step, when we make mistakes and we are unwholesome or unskillful. So it's over time, it's a purification. I hope that's helpful. Is that helpful, Babita?
Yes, that really helped me. So basically, I understand that as I practice and as I start observing my feelings better, and so even if I do trip,
Yes,
I'll notice it in my meditation. So it will help me. It's a slow process, but it will work.
absolutely.
Listen.
And be so kind and forgiving to yourself when you make mistakes, because you're human and you have these taints and defilements. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a
You're
million, Deb. Thank
welcome.
you.
So welcome. Okay, let's see. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Mm, thanks. Um, I think we will. I think we'll move to the announcements, and then if anybody else has any questions, we can check again. So there's lots of announcements, everybody. But let me just say, it's all on the website. Okay, there's lots of dates I'm going to throw out to you. So we have a lot of wonderful things coming up. Our team working behind the scenes, our volunteer, our board and our committees they're worker bees. So There's another meditation pop-up group coming up a week from Saturday, March 27th, also at Boyce Park at 2:00. So that's becoming a regular thing. It's pretty cool. So the Spring Beyond the Basics series that Ward will be leading is called, the topic is the Buddha's Middle Way. And it begins April 6th. You can sign up on the website. It will meet every other week. So starting on April 6th. April 7th, we are so fortunate to have Philip Moffitt as a guest leader. If you're not familiar with this book of his, Dancing with Life, it is absolutely fabulous and wonderful. I used it in my Beyond the Basics class last fall. So anyway, he's going to come and speak with us on a Wednesday evening, which is the first Wednesday of the month, where we normally have the practice discussion group for people with an ongoing practice. We will not have it on April 7th, the first Wednesday. Instead, he's going to begin at 7:00. Okay. There's a book discussion group starting with Joy and Larry, and it's Mindfully Facing Disease and Death by Bhikkhu Analio, who's an amazing scholar. It'll be the first Thursday in the afternoon, actually from 12 to 2, midday, May, June, and July. We have another guest leader coming May 19th, David Chernikoff. He's one of our regulars. So he'll be here on a Wednesday, May 19th. And the following Saturday, the 22nd, he's doing a day long. I assume it will be on Zoom. So obviously everything's on Zoom. Save the date for our residential retreat, which is not on Zoom. So it's going to be in August 19th to the 22nd. It will be our summer residential retreat for IMCC. Really hope you give it good considerations. Very important to deepen our practice to go on retreats. Meditation instructions are now on the website. You can anytime tune in. The live ones will be only once a month now, the last Wednesday of the month. So that'll be in 2 weeks, because the last Wednesday of this month is the 31st. And that will be at 7:00 like we used to do. Let's see, check the website, imccharlotte.org, for upcoming events, ongoing book clubs, detailed info. And are there any non-IMCC related announcements? I don't see any hands going up. Okay. I want to thank our volunteers. I thank all of our behind the scenes worker bees working so tirelessly to have a healthy, strong Sangha, which we do have. And especially through this last year. It's been a long year, and I think we've really hung in there, and we pulled it off, guys. So thank you to the volunteers and to all of you for participating. Ongoing donations are more than welcome. We still have needs, and that's on the website. You can do online donations. So let's see if we have any other comments or questions. Okay. Nope. All right, everybody. We'll move to loving kindness, metta. So please, let's get comfortable. And as your first act of loving kindness toward yourself, allow your body to just kind of melt, just kind of like relax, take up more space on the seat. Let it become heavy. Let your body relax. Bringing our well-wishing to the preciousness of yourself, this body and mind and heart, with these lines or using your own. May I be safe. May I be safe from inner and outer harm. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May I ride the waves of this life and live in peace, no matter what I'm given. And bringing into your mind's eye, into your heart, one, a being that you would like to include in your well-wishing. May you be safe. May you be safe from inner and outer harm. May you be happy and peaceful. May you be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May you ride the waves of your life and live in peace no matter what you're given. May all beings be safe. May all everywhere be safe from inner and outer harm. May all beings be happy and peaceful. Truly happy and deeply peaceful. May all everywhere ride the waves of their lives and live in peace no matter what they're given. Including yourself, may all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be free.